Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Morning Market Movers. It is Monday, November 29th, where we do live analysis for day trading. We look at hotspots in the markets. I know we took last week off and we had a bit of activity at the end of last week. So we're going to try to catch up a little bit and then take a look at what's going on today. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. Joining me, as always, Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Before Brian and I jump into potential hotspots for the markets today, or actual hotspots because they are kind of hot today, we do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. So what are we looking at today? Now, obviously, the actually, no. Before I jump into today, I do want to point out that next week we are going to be doing a boot camp on day trading. I just dropped the link into the chat. You can see it across the bottom. Please register. If you register, you'll get access to the recordings. But it's a full day. Brian will be speaking. I will be speaking. We'll even have Tom Sosnoff from Tasty Trade speaking, as well as the head of education and the head market technician from Benzinga, Mark Petrino. So it's going to be an interesting day. That is next Tuesday. So please join us, share it with your friends. Get people to register. Again, if they can't join live on Tuesday, they can always catch the recordings if they register. So what are we looking at for today? Number one, the oil. We're going to have to talk about oil. Oil got slammed down 10% on Friday. Thin markets and a little bit of bad news that the Omicron variant spooked the markets. No one really has any idea of what the real impact is going to be, but you saw countries starting to shut down, do lockdowns, prevent travel. I mean, we're reacting much more quickly as we get some of these new variants that hurt the markets. We saw equities get sell off. We saw oil get absolutely annihilated. But what are we seeing today? Number one, we're seeing oil retrace some of that. So we're going to jump into oil. We'll even take a look at the weird game that happened over at Nat Gas. The U.S. dollar getting strength. The U.S. dollar gapped against all the other currencies except the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar very much tied to oil. Oil getting clobbered last week, and that it really meant Canadian dollar weakness. Oil coming back, we're seeing Canadian dollar strength. And then we're going to take a look at the equities across the board. We can already see, here's from Friday, that the Nasdaq is already punched up through a 50% retracement level. It was bad news. We'll see what today has in store, but taking half of it back before the open is kind of interesting. So we have a lot to discuss. Energy, the dollar, and equities. Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you because there is just so much to talk about. Let's catch everyone up and then take a look at some technical levels on the charts as we go.
Sure. Yeah, I would say, as far as 24-hour pip changes go right now, there's not a whole lot going on right now in the currency market. A lot of it is all just retracing from Friday's craziness. And again, low volume, you expected it. It happens. I mean, that was the worst sell-off since I think they said 1931. But we expected some craziness. And again, that's low volume trading. It's not very, very hard to get a lot of news out there. Now, the news we got obviously was very, very important. And it's funny, there's two sides of the camp. It's like, we have to trust science, but then science just told us to shut everything down again. But then the other side's like, well, why would we do that again? We're all vaccinated. And then it's like, well, don't forget to get vaccinated. And then all the companies at the same time say, we could probably have another, early 2022, we could have a vaccination against Omicron if it turns out that it's a problem. But then all of a sudden we see this last night. Japan effectively bans all foreigners from entry. So it is what it is. We
don't know. We don't right there.
Mm-hmm.
We reacted so much more quickly. This is not something that lingered. As soon as this thing showed up, they're reacting. I think they want to get their head around it and then make a determination.
Yeah, and looking at the last 2 years and what it means for the markets. I mean, here's another article that the Omicron variant, another lockdown could be quite scary for the economy, especially with inflation, rising interest rates, stagflation. So there's a
Yeah,
lot out there, and again, I think the open today is going to be very, very interesting. It may even be one of those days where you kind of be a little bit more conservative in your entries, just because again, supposedly we're protected. Remember, it's called COVID-19. We're going to be in 2022, so
mine too.
you know
Ay,
it's a
ay,
very much different. We had a scare over the weekend. Actually, not my direct family, but my boy's stepsister. Her closest friend just got COVID. Got a positive result back. So this weekend they all had to go get tested and everything to make sure the boys could come home, and she's vaccinated. So it's one of those things. It's a very, very strange time, and it really is going to depend on how the media and the market overall takes this. Remember, a lot of people that missed the negativity on Friday are probably going to want to jump into the negativity today. Why Omicron, right? Last week it was interest rates. Now they're going to rise interest rates, and we have. I mean, like I said, the day of Delta is over. Now everything will be Omicron, and again, we don't know much about it, but we do know that the United States has now locked down travel from 7 African countries. So if it wasn't serious and we weren't really concerned, we wouldn't have locked down 7 nations. Japan is now locked down. There was reports that it was in
Israel's locked
Germany.
down.
Israel's locked down. Germany
Well,
has
I'm
2
sorry.
positive
Actually,
cases.
lockdown's not the right word. It's blocking out foreign travelers.
They're blocking foreign travel. Yeah,
They're not locked.
yeah.
Right.
But it's in Germany. There's 2 cases in the UK, and Canada has it. So guess what? Do you think it's the United States also? Yeah.
It
So
probably is here too. Yeah.
yeah. So the second we get the headline that now Omicron is here, that's probably going to be one of those gut sell buttons where people are like, "Oh my God, it's here again." And again, from where the economy is, the job numbers look great. If you've looked at this for the entire week, I mean, again, we'll dive into it more tomorrow. But looking at all the job numbers, I mean, we're talking about hiring back over 500,000 people again. So the economy's not in a bad place. We have to raise interest rates. I mean, there was the other headline over here was Germany's inflation is 5.2%. What
Yeah.
almost
That came
two
out
and a
last
half
night.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to raise. Everybody's at the raising stage. Now the question is, do we raise on top of something like an Omicron? And we've brought this up since the very beginning now, since COVID came out. It is a virus. It's going to mutate. There's going to be other variants past
Yeah.
Omicron as well. It's about really going forward from the stage. And it's kind of one of these things. Don't say believe the science, but then science is not saying that Omicron's going to be worse. There's no data for that. And then using that to drive another political mandate. So lot of things out there, but I'll tell you right now, fear is one of the things that drives the market the most. Do what you want for you. There's talking points on both sides, but I will say any mention of locking down, potentially closing the market, again, Japan effectively banning all foreigners, is that going to affect the supply chain? Probably. Is it going to affect Santa Claus's deliveries? No, but could it say this is going to make the supply chain worse? And what does that do to the overall market? So I would say, as far as kind of things go, we're seeing the market come back up. Like the ES is up 1%. All of them are actually up 1%,
Everything's
over
up
1% right now.
right now. Nasdaq even more.
Yeah, and the reason why is we had such a big day, and this is why we talk about those parabolic moves. This was a parabolic move, largest one since 1931, I think it was. Again, you expect it typically after such a huge day. Nothing's really changed. We don't really know anything. Now that big money is coming back into the market, they're positioning themselves. And again, seeing this drive up, what happens at 9:30 this morning or 10 o'clock this morning if all of a sudden we hear that we have 2 confirmed cases of Omicron in the United States? Do you think it's going to spike all the way back up again? Probably not. Because then
Although,
the fear that we're talking is here. So
now on the flip side of that, because we always is, do we have the wherewithal to react infinitely more quickly to mitigate the
because we don't know.
spread? Yeah, and the other thing is, we don't even know. Just because it's different, does it mean it's worse? And we don't know what this, what the
It's
effects
where they're
of it are.
different. Yeah, here. There's only 2 possibilities. It's different and a problem, or it's not as bad as what we have, which means
Right.
there's nothing here. So
And it could be that. So we we don't. Yeah, I love it when we don't know what we don't know. It's that uncertainty that drives the fear, and then you get this reaction on Friday.
All it is fear at this point. And again, and the unfortunate thing is it's become a political issue, and both sides are driving the same fear. Both sides are driving the same. It's a different angle,
This is the
but it's still,
markets. This is
yeah.
the markets now. We had illiquid markets on Friday. I mean, no one was expecting this. Every desk was empty. So you had this massive move
Not true.
down.
I was
Now,
expecting it.
now you're seeing
I was expecting it
people
on
go.
Friday. Just saying. A lot of actually, I know a lot of people that expected a crash on Friday.
Yeah,
And then once Omicron started picking up, it was one of those things. But again, how we trade it today, guys, is with the price starting to rally back up again. There's two things that it's doing. One, it's not really a big deal, and I haven't heard that yet. Like I said, if Japan is effectively banning all foreigners, that's probably more of a big deal than we know about right now. Maybe it is really, really justified because again, they're bringing it up. I mean, it's spreading very, very fast. It seems like. It's one of those situations where are the markets being driven up to relieve people of that fear just for it to come crash back down? Because remember, if you want to sell a market, the best thing to do is raise the price up so you can get more for when you're selling it. Is today just going to be straight up green because we hear nothing? And again, there's no real big economic news. There's a couple speeches, one from Macklin, and then Powell's doing some opening remarks. So
Powell
there's
is
not
doing it. That's after the equities closed today.
what?
It's Powell speaking. What is that? 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, they haven't closed at 3. They're open at 3.
Oh well. I'm sorry, 4 p.m. Right. Oh, right before the markets close.
Yeah, it's an hour before. Yeah.
Right,
So
right. I'm sorry. I'm
for
sorry.
the close. Yeah. For the close. So I mean, again, we do have some speeches out there. Home sales, they're positive. It's not going to really affect a whole lot. Manufacturing PMI in China may offer something late tonight. And again, not expected to be too much. And then tomorrow morning, we have that Swiss economic barometer. And then again, before we start, we have GDP, so CAD news. So it seems like me in the next 24 hours, I feel like the hotspot is going to be the Canadian dollar today, whether it be a proxy through oil or not. I mean, again, here was the oil, the price destruction from the kind of 79-ish range all the way down to, what did we get down to? 67. And now we're seeing price rally back up. We had the gap here over the weekend up. And again, this is not the supply being released on the market. This is literally countries locking back down again in demand destruction. So everyone that's like, oh, see, releasing those 50 million barrels, that's what we needed. No, this is purely Omicron. And at the same time, OPEC now, who has a meeting on Thursday this week, just saw this go down to 67. They go, we're not releasing more oil. Omicron.
Right.
So don't be
They're going,
surprised for this.
demand's
If
gonna be
Omicron comes out to be
down.
nothing, if Omicron turns out to be absolutely nothing, watch this price jump all the way back up, probably in the 80 range. I'll tell you right now, they're not going to release any more supply right now. It's done. That ship has now sailed with this fear, taking this big of a drop that fast. OPEC, no way are they going to really? They're going to start producing more.
And
Releasing more
what's
oil. So
interesting, I mean, we're seeing this in a lot of the charts, and I just want to bring it over here. I mean, this is oil. It's right
yeah,
at its 50% retracement level,
yep.
right? I mean, oil got absolutely
Mm-hmm.
obliterated on Friday. We're right back at that 50% retracement level, which
Mm-hmm.
is sort of no man's land. But yeah, I would.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
there's an area of sellers we sold on Friday at the open at right around $74. So we got about $1. I mean, this was a level here. The original zone was formed. The original, again, remember, you buy
which
and
would be
pullbacks,
right
sell
at
and
the
pullbacks.
61.8 retracement level.
Yeah, right at
So
that level. Yeah.
I mean,
So 3 o'clock, and
exactly at
then
it.
8:30 is when it triggered it, or actually 9 o'clock is when it triggered in the U.S. session, so we could get on board. That's a level. I mean, like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but it's an area where sellers came in and really hammered this price down. If we have enough to run up, could that be a turning point at 10:30 this morning? I mean, here's a scenario: price gradually goes up to kind of fill the short trades from last week, and then all of a sudden at 10 o'clock today, the U.S. has confirmed our first 2 cases of Omicron.
And
Right back
oil
down.
rolls right over. So
Yeah,
yeah.
right. And again, on the flip side of things, oil is up 6% since we had the open. On the flip side, natural gas is doing the exact opposite. Natural gas is down $10. And again, what did natural gas do on Friday? Again, this is thinly traded markets. Natural gas went from $5.12 all the way up to $5.50. So I mean, it exploded. Look, this is Friday, and then what did it do? The
To the
weekend came
moon.
back in,
Yeah.
gap down, and it's even going back low. Remember, we talked about 490, and we're approaching that 490 level. So this is low volume trading at the holiday craziness. And again, with this type of volatility swings back and forth, tell me money managers are not going to be like, December 1st, we're shutting it down. We're done with the volatility. We're banking our profits for the year. Omicron's the reason. I mean, why go into December? And again, what that means is low volume trading in the month of December this year, which means prepare for big swings, which is perfect for Nadex. So I see a lot going on. Again, gold and silver doing absolutely nothing. Dollar, just real fast, dollar spike really, really far down on Friday. Right now, we're kind of hovering around between the 50 and 61. And again, I would say the biggest mover and biggest kind of at risk is probably going to be the dollar CAD.
The dollar
Um,
cat, and that's the
yeah,
oil play. I mean, it's the only.
yeah,
It's
it's
doing the
oil.
other thing. It's doing the opposite.
Yep,
The CAD
yep,
saw. Uh, it's the exact opposite of all the other dollar pairs.
mhm, yep, yep. I mean, I would say the biggest mover right now is going to be the Aussie yen is up the most in it's up 0.75, and again it's doing the same thing. It's coming to an area again where we there could be a potential reversal, and with the yen exposed, again that's an indice play. So I think really getting that opening print today is going to be extremely important. Again, everything is really, really positive right now. The VIX, this is a funny chart. The VIX is down 14%, but we're still up at 24. So
Well, that was.
the
I
VIX is
mean,
up
let's face it.
50%
On
on
an
Friday.
explosive day like Friday, we expected the VIX to go through the moon.
Yeah.
It's coming back a little
50% it
bit.
was up on Friday. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would assume that this trickles down today until, again, like I said, if we get an Omicron headline, then expect the VIX to pop. But with the VIX, look, when people are looking at this going, oh, volatility's down today. Yeah, it's down 14% because it was up 50 on Friday. That's a positive sign for all the indices today. So unless we get one of those rock star headlines, I would say today's probably one of those days where if we can get a pullback, look for it to kind of retrace and make up some of its losses. With the market as bad as it was on Friday, I don't see any of the headlines from Powell today talking about rising interest rates. Nothing that could be negative. I think they're going to
Right.
kind of let it kind of settle back again into kind of equilibrium. So I wouldn't be surprised that the VIX continues to fall and the indices, particularly again, probably the ES and YM. YM maybe be a little. YM is probably going to be more at risk because again that supply chain issue. But again, Russell wouldn't be surprised if the Russell comes all the way back up and we have a positive day in the Russell. Probably again, it's got a little bit of a hiccup right here around 2307. Again, maybe a potential 1030 reversal on that one. But for right now, it looks like we're clearing through a minor zone right here that was holding us back on Friday. Looks like we can push a little bit higher. So unless we get a headline, I would say things are probably positive, kind of retracing back somewhere, not quite the new highs, but in that range for the day. But look
Yeah.
for those opening pullbacks at the 50-minute chart.
And
Yep.
so yeah, definitely. I mean, just a lot going on. There's no question, a lot going on,
Yeah.
and a lot to look at. That volatility is good, and it creates opportunity, and particularly whether you're looking at knockouts or call spreads or binary options, the opportunity there. Again, everything with the defined risk, so that if something odd should happen and move against you, you know what your risk is getting into the trade up front.
Hmm.
With that, any questions for Nadex, please email us customer service at nadex.com. Brian is also very accessible. If you'd like some clarity on any of that, you can email Brian at support@keeptradingsimple.com. I want to remind everyone that we've got the boot camp next Tuesday. Please register. And again, if you can't join us, if you register, you will get access to the recordings. Brian speaking, I'm speaking, Tom Sosnoff from Tasty Trade, and Mark Petrino from Benzinga. It's going to be an interesting day all around day trading. A quick recap of what we talked about today. Energies, very volatile. Oil got blasted on Friday. It's retracing some today. Nat gas did the exact opposite. We have the US dollar gapping higher against all the major currencies, showing some strength, except against the Canadian dollar, where we're seeing the inverse because the Canadian dollar being driven very much by oil. And then we're seeing the equities. And a lot of things are making their 50% retracements on the Fibonacci's because it was such a volatile day on Friday. No liquidity. We had that massive sell-off. We're seeing some people stepping back in and moving a lot of those fib levels right back to the 50% level, putting us a bit in no man's land. We're gonna have to wait and see what the retail trader thinks when they start again, and when we kick up the markets in 25 minutes. Brian and I will be back tomorrow. We will get into it and take a look at what happened today and take a look at tomorrow. So please join us then. Thank you for joining us. I hope everyone had a wonderful and a very happy Thanksgiving. This certainly made for some interesting post-Thanksgiving talk. Let's get at it. There's a lot of opportunity for volatility and trading. We will catch you again tomorrow. Good luck in the markets, everyone.